disjointed explanation. And the question becomes louder and heavier in the void between their stories with each detail he repeats. Why does every version she gives seem to conceal the portion she won't utter aloud? If there was really nothing more profound going on that evening, the tension persists even after the clip concludes. It hovers in the space like an unidentifiable draft. He reclines for a moment to balance the weight of what he's saying rather than to disassociate himself from it, because he now switches from the timeline to the portion of the night that, according to him, changed everything. At this point, people begin repeating the video hundreds of times, not because of what he thinks she did to him, but rather because of what he claims to have seen between her and Mendeecees. He begins slowly, almost grudgingly, as though he is aware that the next sentence will spark a global outcry. His tone becomes more intense, and abruptly the atmosphere in the It feels colder in the room. He claims that their interaction made him feel at ease. Not just that evening, not just once. He talks about how she sat on Mendeecees during a music video. Mondays continued wherever they went. He talks about he saw a long Tamar ever gave a token in a gossipy manner. It sounds like someone explaining why he's been thinking about a narrative for months while she feigned. There was nothing to doubt. This discomfort serves as the store. The next time he removes is one that causes the internet to freeze. Sitting by herself, she wasn't sleeping. She leaned her head on the window. She didn't keep quiet. He claims that while he was seated just inches away, she was sitting on Mendeecees' lap and kissing him. He says, paraphrasing, that he felt uneasy when Tamar sat on Mendeecees' lap in the automobile and kissed her. Clip of the Week commentary networks cut it up into thread-long analyses, slow it down, and repeat it to conjecture about everything. Her phrase and her body language. The way she shied away from specifics. The way she insisted that she had no idea what had actually transpired. And the hypotheses continue from there, because if he is telling the truth and she was already seeing Mendeecees at the time, her ambiguous responses during the interview begin to seem more like deliberate concealment than uncertainty. The kind that, with lying, maintains a secret. At this point, online rumors of a pregnant emerge. Viewers believe she alluded to something when she discussed the aftermath. It wasn't a verified assertion or something she spoke directly, without providing background information on what preceded it. Transcript contains no evidence to support it. She doesn't express it. However, the darkest, most dramatic possibility begins to fill the void on the internet. Ambiguous because she had forgotten. What if because she was doing something? At that point, viewers also begin to make connections with this new theory. He decided to go home since, in his words, they obviously desired solitude. Which is why he didn't go upstairs with her. It transpired upstairs she was with the completely suggests that his and his friend whatever teeth, because at that of what he lacking, but also with his, to have woken up in a pool of blood, turned down an ambulance. He claimed to be unaware. He was claims to have been with two particular individuals. All right, she came across as someone who was hurt, and he portrays himself as the culprit behind a circumstance. Hey, he wasn't there for nothing. Neatly lined up. Dish more space for theories, especially theories from reality, about why she refrained from providing at all. She went out and stated she nearly died, but that was before I handled it. 7,000 people were waiting in the pass. They were waiting for me to tell them what had happened because they knew we had this evening. I don't know what happened to the lady, I answered. The viewer's conjecture has taken on a life of its own. In the narrative, she may have concealed more than she acknowledged, with thousands of comments Some claim that she downplayed her relationship with Mendeecees since a deeper connection would be revealed by the truth. A small but tenacious group starts murmuring about women who specifics when it's something intimate, sentimental, or irreversible. It's just conjecture. However, when the facts are too dissimilar to be reconciled, conjecture turns into a storm, and just more intense when she represented him on the internet. Claims that her framing at fault. He allowed that the internet is crazy. She relished the attention. When he claims that all she needs others to stop by, she still declines. Confusion gives way to story because it creates a fresh tension. That sentence becomes the emotional center of this part. Why didn't she change the story if she didn't want him to be held accountable? Why would she want him to? Given that a portion of the narrative tightens and the room's excitement increases, he is no longer defending a rumor. He's exposing the effects of being silent. His stillness, hers, and their renditions of the evening. Internet is now starting to formulate a new query. One that was persistent. If Tamar's relationship with Mendeecees was genuine, why did it to explain every detail? That's a cliffhanger that propels the story into the following chapter, where her omissions, his clarity, and the theories on the internet combine to create something far more combustible than either of them expected. Pauses for a moment before continuing. Something was apart. It's calculation, not hesitancy. As if next segment of his narrative would be analyzed in 100 different ways. He is aware that the internet won't let it go once he says it aloud. He's correct because the entire story takes on a deeper or psychological weight when he moves from narrating the events to analyzing the emotional fallout. He starts at the beginning of the media frenzy. He explains how her posts, in which she claimed to have nearly up in a pool of blood, caused alarm on social media. People quickly made the connection to him only because they had spent a part of the evening together. He mentions Tamar posting on social media that she nearly died and woke up in blood. He sounds more confused than angry. For example, he finds it incomprehensible that a vague post might turn into allegation. However, logic of the internet. It is powered by emotion. And before any questions, her framing set off a communal response. And he is most bothered by that. He claims not to. She merely failed to resolve the confusion, allowing it to worsen. He remembers that thousands of people waited for him to go live, anticipating some sinister reality. A word, everyone thought he was the bad guy. Not only was he dragged, but he was also dissected, misquoted, misconstrued, and made into the adversary of a narrative. Not even present. And that's when the transcript reveals yet another crucial. He informs the audience that someone in attendance that evening offered to summon an ambulance, and Tamar declined. It becomes one of the story's most glaring paradoxes. She did that. She was on the verge of death on one side. However, he claims the medical assistance. The internet quick discrepancy. People start to wonder if the harshness of her public statements aligned with the choices made that evening. Others question whether her refusal of medical attention was an effort to evade attention to the circumstances surrounding her injuries rather than the injury itself. Of course, these are speculations. No proof, no confirmation. On social media, however, theories serve as the glue that fills in all the gaps. Additionally, he now clarifies that he attempted to persuade her to change the story in a dramatic post, which is why the missing details kept stacking up. All right, depressing. When she did, she erased it. The following day, that eraser turns into a riddle in and of itself. And fascination with those who think indicates that there was more